Eisenberg. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Special Education and Student Services at the Virginia Department of Education, and I'm going to spend the next few minutes with you walking you through some of the potential shifts, changes, reorganizational efforts that we're looking at here at the Department of Ed to really get us ready to prepare the next generation of children and youth with disabilities to be able to learn, live, work, and play in communities of their choice. So I thank you for spending a couple of minutes with me. I'm going to walk you through those changes, walk you through a PowerPoint, and would love to have any feedback or any other information or ideas that you might have in the future. And just wanted to make sure you clearly knew that these are just ideas. We're moving forward slowly. None of this will take place immediately. We're going to spend the next year really thinking about how to best suit the needs of children and the school divisions across the Commonwealth. So thank you, and feel free to call me or email me with any questions. Thank you. Let's jump right in and start talking about our vision for implementing results-driven accountability, which is really just a refocus on the major outcomes that we know students with disabilities need to have to be successful in their adult lives. This is just the beginning for us, and as we've shifted into new leadership and we have seen some of the changes that are coming down from the Board of Education, the General Assembly, and the federal government, we know we're going to have to redouble our efforts on improving outcomes. So we are just starting these conversations, and I wanted to share some of those conversations with you so that you know kind of the direction we're heading. What I want to really emphasize is these changes are not happening immediately. They are just beginning thoughts. We want to collect ideas. We want to collect your feedback. We want to make sure we have lots of stakeholder input. We know it's going to require a ton amount of teamwork, both internally and externally, to move us in different directions. But we also know that it's going to require some reorganization here at the department. We have been traditionally organized at the department in a disability model where we've had very specific people tied to disability areas or regions. We are thinking about reorganizing around the area of outcomes and continued support for school improvement and improving those schools who need the most help. We also know we're going to have to refocus our grant projects who have been focused in traditional areas outside of school improvement, but have been gradually moving in that direction where we've been trying to focus on improving outcomes in very specific areas. Examples include our ESD project, our example with our SIM-CLC model, our autism sites, and a number of other different areas where we've tried to embed ourselves and improve outcomes in very specific schools or in divisions. Our mission at the Virginia Department of Education and the Office of Student Services is to do two critical things. First of all is to close the achievement gap for students with disabilities. We have traditionally seen over the last couple years the gap between students with disabilities and all students and those without disabilities really increase. We have a 21 to 22 point achievement gap between students with disabilities and those that don't have disabilities. We know we've been absolutely tasked by the Virginia Board of Education and Dr. Wright and the community to help try to close that achievement gap. We also know that just academics is not the full story, but that we need to look at other critical outcome areas such as graduation and dropout and social, emotional, and behavioral skills. And I think you'll see in the next slide that that's where we're headed. When I talk about outcomes, what I wanted to share with you are some of the different outcome areas that I think will be a critical focus for the Office of Special Ed as we move forward in the next couple years. So you can see on this slide some of the outcome focus areas that I think will be our key areas of emphasis. First and foremost, assessment in both reading and mathematics, which ties in very close to our SPP APR indicator number 3. We will look very closely at our targets in the area of least restrictive environment and placement, knowing that where a student is placed and the more time they spend in the regular environment, our outcomes are better. We'll be looking very closely at graduation rates, and post-school outcome rates with an attempt to try to increase the number of students with disabilities who get a standard or advanced studies diploma, as well as look at the critical outcomes of post-secondary education, employment, and those that did both. We'll be working very hard to close and reduce our dropout rates, which is found on indicator 2. We have done a pretty good job at meeting our targets over the last couple years, but by examining some of our in-depth disaggregated data and dropout, we know we still have areas to improve, especially in the area of students with intellectual disabilities and students who are from different race or ethnicity categories. We still see and are seeing an increased trend in suspension, expulsion, incidents, and type of incidents for students with disabilities. We will provide a keen focus on this area and help school divisions understand their data, get into their data, and begin to disaggregate their data a little bit more so that we can try to help improve the behavioral outcomes for students with disabilities. We also know on the front end it's very important to keep a keen focus on preschool and the outcomes that we're trying to achieve to get students ready so when they enter the kindergarten environment they'll be ready to tackle the rigorous curriculum in Virginia. So again, our vision is that based on how we've been functioning in the past, we know we need to shift. We think there needs to be a change in how we function and provide technical assistance to local school divisions to improve the previous critical outcome areas. We are going to focus on schools whose data indicate a critical need for improvement. We'll be looking at both assessment and outcome indicators to help us do that. Here's the model that I want you to see where I think we're going. We know we have a focus on student outcomes. We also know that we need to do a lot better job here at the department providing you with disaggregated data that you already collect and help us provide for our state performance plan, annual performance report, as well as other required data reports that you provide to the department. We're not going to be asking you for new data, but we're going to try to examine the data that we already have and to be able to synthesize that, to be able to give to you through DOE-led teams, probably organized in a regional capacity, that would come in to work with the school divisions that have been identified as having the most need for improvement. We would be working very closely with you, the special ed director, to enter into your school division, walk you through a guided self-assessment process very similar to what has been happening in the Office of School Improvement. Based upon your guided self-assessment, developing local and very specific outcome areas that you want to focus on, and then helping you develop an improvement plan, and then providing you with the targeted technical assistance that you're going to need to improve those outcomes. So we're looking at this as a cyclical process. Each of these steps is going to take significant discussion and significant work, but I wanted you to see where I think the process is heading. So again, some of those critical ideas for change that I'm going to highlight are improved database decision making, creating guided self-assessments and helping you in improvement planning, and then providing you very different targeted team-based technical assistance to school divisions and schools needing the most improvement. These are some of the big shifts for us. Traditionally in the past, we have had other entities go in to work with you guys at the school division level, but now we're really taking a look at how to utilize the resources that we have here within the Virginia Department of Education to help go in and take a look at your division's issues, practices, policies, procedures, and data. We want this to be a team effort across the Office of Special Education and Student Services. So you're going to see us probably organize around different units to work in teams. So our Office of Instruction, our compliance folks, data, dispute resolution, school improvement, and our assessment teams will hopefully be working very closely together to get you the information you need to create better database decision making. We are hoping to develop and revisit developing local profiles on outcome data on some of the outcomes I shared with you before. We're going to try to do a little more in-depth information on our data, such as disaggregating by race, ethnicity, and disability, to help hone in on some of the key areas that are problematic for your school divisions. We would like to move away from a cyclical monitoring process to a new process called focus monitoring. There will have to be lots of work in this area, but focus monitoring helps us to really hone in on those schools whose data indicates they need the most improvement. And it's a movement away from looking at all the compliance issues and only coming every 5 years, but to refocus our efforts on going to those school divisions that need the most support. We believe again that we'll come up with a processes and try to work with our Office of School Improvement to develop a data exploration and guided self-assessment process. One of the areas that we're going to try to quickly investigate is to figure out a way to make our data collection and data submission process easier for you at the local school division, and then give you the ability to disaggregate your own data without lots and lots of extra work. We are currently in contact with a contractor who's going to be helping us develop our web-based data collection application that will help organize and provide electronic submission of our state performance plan, annual performance plan data, as well as some of our compliance requirements from Sandra Ruffin's unit. This approximately might take a whole year to complete, and it could be a significant amount of time before we're able to put this in place, but we'll be working very closely with stakeholders to fill you in and keep you apprised of these shifts. Targeted technical assistance is a big shift away from what we currently have been doing. We have traditionally had a model where you have been able to call our TTACs or the Virginia Department of Education and ask for technical assistance and volunteer to be a part of some of the projects that we have. We are going to be trying to move away from that concept and be more targeted because our resources are getting smaller and smaller, and now our charge is to improve those schools that need the most help by trying to go to and provide and help those school divisions. We'll be targeting key outcome indicators as I showed you before. We'll be taking the guided self-assessment improvement activities and trying to report those on the State Performance Plan Annual Performance Report. We are also trying to shift our technical assistance so that it's focused on more tiered interventions that focus on systemic reform activities, with a less reliance on our one-day workshops and conferences where we are being able to embed ourselves in those schools and school divisions who need the most help. We will be continuing to offer evidence-based practice, but in a more focused way. We believe we have to take better use of web-based technical assistance by moving many of the 101 presentations on basic topics to TTAC Online or web-based self-tutorials so that we do not have to keep relying and paying for large conferences for folks to come in. We know we still have to provide that information, but we're going to look at doing more technical solutions and more web-based delivery of those solutions. So I wanted to thank you very quickly again. I wanted to share with you those quick ideas. I know we'll have good, fruitful conversations in the next couple years, and we will be moving to try to have a critical improvement in outcomes for students with disabilities. So again, feel free to contact me with any questions that you have. Thank you.